It might not be the longest river in Europe, but it is definitely one of the best known. The Thames snakes its way for some 30 kilometers through London, with famous buildings like the Houses of Parliament on its banks. A record-breaking 19 million tourists are expected to visit the British capital this year. For many, a trip down the river is a must. But in times past, skipper Charlie Telfer would not have recommended such a tour, due to the Thames' former function as an open sewer.
A time known as the Great Stink of the 1850s led Parliament to drape curtains in front of the Palace of Westminster, soaked in perfume because of the horrendous, horrible smell.
The London Eye, which opened in 2000, is the biggest Ferris wheel in Europe and a highlight on the classic tour from Westminster to Tower Bridge. At the halfway point are St. Paul's Cathedral and Millennium Bridge. The bridge also opened in 2000. It was the first structure built across the Thames since the late 19th century. It was designed by star architect Norman Foster.
I don't think the Queen had time to get back to Buckingham Palace before the bridge was flooded with excited commuters and tourists, and the bridge began to sway and wobble. So much so, people couldn't stand up. People were falling over and feeling seasick.
The bridge was immediately closed and repaired at a cost of 7 million euros. It reopened in 2002.
Lord Norman Foster was interviewed, and in the interview he blamed the wobble not on his bridge or his engineers or on his designs. He blamed it on the way that Londoners walk.
From London's youngest bridge to the oldest. The first London Bridge was built 2,000 years ago by the Romans. Its medieval successor remained the only bridge in London across the Thames until 1750. It was a bustling marketplace. This is one of countless stories collected by David Fathers for his book, Thames Path, all 300 kilometers of it, from its source to the estuary east of London.
Well, the part in London, the part which I'm more interested in, is about 20-25 miles on each footpath, and it's a great way of sort of getting into London, exploring London. If you haven't seen London before, I think this is a fantastic way of exploring the city.
David Fathers' illustrated book also takes little detours to neighborhoods just off the riverside. Southwark is home to the tallest office building in the EU, the Shard. A more appealing proposition for those afraid of heights is Borough Market, which dates back to the 13th century. Its proximity to the Thames was key to its evolution as a trading hub.
And it was here that they had a fortification for the bridge, to protect the bridge. The bridge was the only crossing the Romans had to get into the city. And so a whole community gathered around here of market stalls and entertainment, because later in medieval times, entertainment such as theatre and bear baiting and dog baiting couldn't take place in the city. They had to come over here.
Our trip also takes us through a millennium of architecture, from the ultra-modern Shard to the 11th century Tower of London. The tower was once a prison. But now the only things under lock and key here are the crown jewels. Right next door is one of London's most famous landmarks, the neo-Gothic Tower Bridge, built in 1894. It carries up to 40,000 motor vehicles a day, and it is still one of the busiest crossings across the Thames.
I've learnt to love the Thames more since I've written the book. It is in such a short space of about 2 miles or thereabouts. There is so much history. 2,000 years of history is condensed into this.
And the legendary Tower Bridge now offers even more spectacular views than before. A glass door in the high-level walkway allows visitors to inspect the traffic 45 meters below. And thanks to the drawbridge, ships of all sizes as they pass through on their way in and out of London.